All right, let's get into some rankings questions here. And Jacob deGrom took a perfect game into the 7th, and then he took a no-hitter into the 8th at the Orioles. Wound up 7+ shutout, 1 hit, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Has a quality start in 5 straight and 7 of his last 8. He also has allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in 13 straight. Look, we never know how long Jacob deGrom is going to stay healthy, but my rankings question here is, how many pitchers would you actually rather have rest of season ahead of Jacob deGrom?
6. Do you want the names or just the number?
Yeah, you could rattle them off.
Tarek Skubal, Zach Wheeler, Paul Skeens, Chris Sale. Well, Chris Sale's hurt, so now it's 5. I hadn't updated my rankings. Garrett Crochet and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. There's 5 pitchers I'd rather have than Jacob deGrom at this point.
I would also prefer Logan Webb, Max Fried, Hunter Brown.
Okay.
Schwellenbach, I could go either way.
I think he's better than those guys.
Yeah, but he's always been better than those guys. That's not the only calculus here.
So this is the thing that's really tough, right? Because it's not just it's Jacob deGrom, he's going to have trouble staying healthy. It's Jacob deGrom. I don't know if you guys noticed, he averaged 98.4 miles per hour with his 4-seamer today. He averaged 98.3 the start before.
So is that good or bad?
Well, that's the question, because when that Jeff Passan piece came out in March, I think the general consensus from fantasy analysts was what the article where Jacob deGrom said, I'm not going to throw as hard as I have the past few years. I think the general consensus from fantasy players and analysts, which is backwards from how we almost always approach it, but the general consensus was, this is good news. We're going to move Jacob deGrom up in our rankings.
Well, because there's history. There's history there. He didn't throw as hard early in his career, and he was a 200-inning Cy Young winner. He started throwing harder, and he got better on a per-inning basis, but couldn't even make it 100 innings.
Yeah. And he's not at that velocity level. Like even in this start, he was at 98.4.
Yeah. It's been trending up, though. It's been look, I don't know. He hasn't gotten hurt yet. I think he's gotten to 100 innings now, right?
I don't know.
I can pull that up.
I think it's the most innings he had since his last healthy Cy Young season.
He's at 90 right now. 90.1. Nope, 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
0.1.
95.
So right.
Yeah.
Is that?
That is the most innings thrown since
2019.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So, he's already beaten the odds. It doesn't mean he always will, but it was never true that he absolutely won it.
Yeah.
So I want to be a little more cautious. I mean, Hunter Brown, Max Fried, those guys I listed off, they're all so good that I'm not sure you gain that much tangibly by swapping them out for deGrom, but you do gain a lot more risk, I think.
I mean, look, if they all made the same number of starts, I think you gain a lot, mostly in strikeouts.
Well,
and honestly,
strikeout rate hasn't been that high this
Sure,
year.
it's around 1 per 9.
Yeah,
or 1
deGrom and Fried, it's negligible difference between the two right now.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with deGrom.
That's my next question. Is Max Fried becomes the first pitcher to 10 wins this season. He was at the Reds, 7 innings, 1 unearned run with 7 strikeouts. He had 19 whiffs on 106 pitches. 9 of those came on the curveball. And my question here was deGrom or Fried rest of season. And Scott, you already answered it. You went Fried, and Chris.
Extra credit. I did it early.
There you go. One thing I wanted to point out here.
Well, I answered it as well.
Yeah, you did.
We both anticipated
by omission.
I don't think we need to only praise Scott. We can praise Chris too. You're welcome.
Everybody deserves praise here.
I agree. That's why I don't think we just need to praise one guy. We can praise everybody.
Did you guys notice that StatCast recently reclassified Fried's pitch mix for the entire season? The cutter is now his most used pitch at 31%. That was a pitch that he only used 5% last year. And according to StatCast, his cutter velocity is 93.5 miles per hour. Last season was 88. His four-seam fastball is 95.4 miles per hour. Last year was 93.9. So I don't know where this change happened or what's going on. Maybe it's kind of just like a cut fastball variation kind of thing. But I mean, it might explain why Max Fried is having a career year.
I have trouble. I don't know if this is going to be a cop out, but Chris, you referred to Paul Skeens as a kitchen sink type of guy earlier. Max Fried is also a kitchen sink kind of guy. And I just, I go look at his arsenal every time he starts and comparing it to a season-long arsenal. It's always so different. It's always so different.
Oh, he's one of those. I don't even look. I don't have anything. I don't have anything to learn from that.
Right. It's just such a jumble that I don't think there's anything to glean from it. So it's interesting. I don't necessarily make anything of it.
Yeah, it's sort of like what that reminds me of is just Justin Steele, where everybody looks at Justin Steele and is like, oh, he's a 2-pitch pitcher. Technically, yeah, but there is a spectrum between Justin Steele's slider and his 4-seamer, where sometimes he throws a true 4-seamer, sometimes it's a cutter, sometimes the slider is more like a cutter, sometimes the slider's a little sweepier. We have these one-off definitions for pitches, but guys have always been able to manipulate what they're doing. And so, some guys get the 10-pitch treatment like Seth Lugo because they are throwing 10 distinct shapes. And some guys, it's a blur. And I think that's the thing with Max Fried, is that he's just kind of throwing things all over the place.
Mm-hmm. It just surprised me that they changed it out of nowhere, and apparently he's throwing this cutter so much harder this season. So I don't know. Maybe I'll look again next week and it'll change again. So who knows? We already spoke about Misiorowski and Kikuchi here as part of our ranking segment. Nick Kurtz continues to mash 3 for 3 with his 11th home run, had 3 RBI, and in his last 19 games, he's hitting .306 with 10 homers, 22 RBI, and OPS over 1050. How high can Nick Kurtz get in the first base rankings?
I could get him to 10th. It wouldn't take very much. And maybe when I get there tomorrow, I will just do that, because a lot of the guys ahead of him are pretty mediocre right now. And first base is starting to look like what we thought it would look like.
Torkelson's having a bad June too. I mean, maybe
Torkelson's starting to lose playing time.
Maybe get him up to 9. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I have.
Oh, you have Salvador Perez
and Wilson Contreras.
But I mean, I don't think it's crazy to put Kurtz ahead of Perez either.
No, not at all. So yeah, I think he could get that high. It might be an overreaction, because as we are seeing with Spencer Torkelson and Paul Goldschmidt slowed down and Tyler Soderstrom, just because you are having a good month does not mean you will forever be a good player, even for a young guy like Nick Kurtz and Spencer Torkelson and Tyler Soderstrom. And even if the underlying numbers back it up, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be great forever. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt when he's doing it, especially when the other guys aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. It's that kind of like 10 through 20 range at first base has been a jumble all season, because I'm never quite sure where to put Jonathan Aranda and Michael Busch with their platoon issues.
Yandy, I'm not sure what to do with Yandy Diaz right now. I think you could make a case for Yandy Diaz being a top 10 first baseman with the way he's hitting right now,
especially in points leagues.
Yeah. You could say you have Kurtz or Diaz and Kurtz back-to-back 9 and 10, and I don't think it would be crazy.
Yeah, I think that would be
so
defensible right now.
To drill down on Kurtz a little more, his strikeout rate has gotten worse. Like, it's over 30% in June, which is not good. You never want to see that for anybody. If you're a good enough power hitter, you can overcome it, and Kurtz might be. But I prefer that go the other way as the production is trending up for Kurtz. So the strikeout rate is coming under control. So that leaves me a little hesitant, but there's a lot of talent here. I think there is more talent, just if we're evaluating talent here. I think Kurtz has more than Torkelson. I think he has more than Soderstrom.
Pasquantino.
He has more talent than Pasquantino. Like Pasquantino, I feel like I want to keep Pasquantino ranked ahead of him, certainly in points leagues, but it's upside wise, Kurtz is ahead. Sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, last name I want to ask you about here is Max Muncy of the Dodgers, who stayed hot, 2 for 4 with a grand slam, 6 RBI, updated numbers since getting glasses. 286 batting average, 11 homers, 46 RBI in 47 games, a 944 OPS during that time. Similar question, how high can you get Max Muncy in the third base rankings?
I'm thinking 12.
I have him, I think 13th, 14th in Roto, and I have him in points higher.
Is that Michael Garcia slides below him in points, or
13th in points? No, I have Michael Garcia ahead in point. I don't know what the difference is. It would take a minute to figure out.
There's also like Alex Bregman. It might be Eugenio Suarez below him in points.
I got Bregman and Suarez 8 and 9 there.
But Bregman's tough because we just don't know when he's going to be back.
Yeah,
I
think right after All-Star break.
Yeah, I think I'll be back within the next month.
Yeah.
And then there's like Jordan Westberg. I think the upside's still worth having.
The second base eligibility is the main thing there.
I'd still take Isaac Paredes. So yeah, I think 12 for Muncy is the peak.
Yeah, it kind of depends. Chapman, because
when's Chapman coming back? Has he been doing anything? I don't think I've seen anything.
I think they said early July.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
kids saw that Muncy stat on the TV when we were at a restaurant the other day. And
his
thought
glasses.
It was the funniest thing. I thought it was. They both got glasses recently, and so like the fact that they were keeping a stat, somebody's keeping a stat on how a player does after he gets glasses. They just found that hilarious.